I'll be the official
It's a
singer.
no judge zone.
But
That's
then
what I
that get,
told him, no
that's
judge
slick
zone.
with,
I won't judge, I'll just skip.
Yeah, Sam would help in this case because it's squishy, and that's what it is.
Yeah,
what's
oh,
doing
definitely.
it.
See?
So,
I should-
but
I
the
should be the
cracks tend to
official
be in the spot where I like to ride.
See? See? I should do that.
But
I can make fun of Stephanie, tell her she
I end up
can
having to, and then when the crack moves, I gotta like move to the other side.
I think I should be the official
think that-
photographer.
That has to do with one of the
Yep.
presentations tonight.
Okay. I'm like, really?
So what are you picking?
They'll explain it.
Stays?
It doesn't?
What happens in
it goes with this.
It goes with, yeah.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone.
stats.
Welcome to the July 12th of 2018 Muscatine City Council meeting. Tonight's an in-depth meeting, so we'll dispense with some of our formalities. We'll move right on to the roll call, please.
Councilmember Spread,
Present.
Harvey,
Present.
Brockert,
Present.
Saucedo,
Present.
Fitzgerald,
Present.
Malcolm,
Present.
and Brackett.
Present.
7 present, 0 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, Cinda. The first thing on tonight's agenda is a resolution approving the award for the patching contract to the All-American Concrete. Are we having a presentation on this, or is this going to be,
If there's questions.
what's that up,
Oh,
well, what's this up there?
We did have a question from council members, Santos, about what a full depth PCC patch is. So,
Okay.
we can certainly,
You want to do
present
that
that.
before the resolution or after, or?
vote first.
Go first?
Get the approval, then
Get
I'll
the
talk.
approval before they get the information? Yeah.
Oh, no.
Si- I will read it first. How's that? Presented for City Council's consideration is a resolution approving the award for the PCC patching contract to All American Concrete. Bids were received on July 9th of 2018, and the low bid was from All American Concrete in the amount of $1,013,213.50. It is staff's recommendation to award the project to All American Concrete. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Fitzgerald with a second by Councilman Brackett. Time for discussion, and we'll hear from Brian now.
Okay, I promise I will be brief. I was asked to give a brief overview of full depth patch, kind of explain what happens. We haven't done that here for a while, so I'll run through this kind of briefly. So just a couple of quick definitions. The PCC, which is on there, is the abbreviation for Portland Cement Concrete. Portland cement is the bonding mixture that holds it. The cement's the powder, concrete is the finished product. It's just an industry term, that the PCC. The full depth indicates that we're going to go to the bottom of the existing pavement. This isn't a surface patch. This isn't like a scratch and fill type of thing like we do with asphalt. This is a full, not reconstruction, but a full patch of the pavement. And then the patch is just that. It's a patch. It's not a full reconstruction of the whole street. It's just patches where needed. Okay, so very briefly, when we pave a concrete street, we'll get something like this. It's usually cut out. When it's concrete, it is cut for relief joints so the concrete can crack where we'd like it to as opposed to where it wants to. Doesn't always happen that way. The way we do it now is we'll take the existing soil, we'll compact it and make sure that it's firm, then we'll add a rock base layer, then we'll add concrete on top of that. So that's our cross-section view, if you will. What we found in a lot of older sections of town is that we don't have that rock layer. We just have concrete on dirt, which is the way they did it in the past, and it worked for a while, but we've improved things since then. So if we take our top section of our pavement, just any random street in the city, and we might develop a crack, like a longitudinal crack like that, or a horizontal crack like that one, or maybe just a big old nasty pothole. You guys have seen them, you've driven over them. What this patching program will do is we'll take that longitudinal crack, and you're going to see some differences in what we do. So if it's a crack like that and it hasn't moved or offset, we can fill that with with the hot joint seal like we did on Mulberry this week, and that'll save that crack and prolong the life of the street there. If the crack is widened or if the pavement is offset, those are the types of things that we'll fix if it's a longitudinal crack. As far as the horizontal cracks, those you'll feel those more when you drive because they cross both lanes of traffic. The longitudinal, you can usually straddle them and you don't really feel them in the way that you travel. The horizontal cracks, you'll hit those and you'll feel those, obviously.
Unless you're on a scooter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we'll do in this case of a horizontal crack is we'll saw cut on either side of the crack. We won't take out the whole panel. This is the reason it's a patch. We're trying to save and spread our money as far as we can go. So we won't take out the whole thing. We'll saw cut on either side. We'll pull out that crack and repair it with concrete. So from the side view, it looks something like this. We'll saw on both sides. We'll remove that piece of broken concrete. We'll dig down below the existing depth, so we'll get down to the subgrade, and we'll compact that so that it's firm. Then we'll take that extra layer and we'll put our rock base back in there. And then what we'll do is we'll drill bars on either side of the patch to hold the new piece in place, and then we pour that back. So that's what it looks like kind of in a cartoon format. And so at the end, you'll see that joining will be a little bit different. A pothole is kind of similar. Depending on this one, I just used as an example as a full width pothole, so it takes up more than just one panel. So what we would do, similarly though, we would saw cut on both sides. In this case, with this patching program, what we want to try to keep the roadway open as much as possible. So we'll work at a half width at a time, and we alternate traffic and try to keep the roads open where it's feasible. So we'll have another cut down the middle here. And the same thing as the horizontal patch, we'll just pull that piece out, they'll pave it back, and when you're done, you'll have something that looks sort of like that. So the joining pattern will be different, but you'll have a smooth ride and a newer concrete street. So that's all there is. Any questions?
Is that similar to what's going on Parham right now?
Parham is similar. That's a water main replacement, but they'll put the patch back in a similar
Okay,
fashion. Yes.
thank you.
Any other questions?
Did we actually, when you talked about the concrete mix, is that a high early mix? So there's not a 7-day cure or a long-term cure? I don't know that.
That depends on the location. Where we have time, we'll do a standard 7-day mix. What we found with our maturity testing is we can get that standard mix open in a couple days, so we're not too worried about that. If we're doing something in front of a driveway or a business, we'll spec out an M4 mix, which was a 24-hour mix, so that we'll get that open sooner. So we'll work with the public, and wherever we happen to be in those patches, we'll use the best mix appropriate for that area.
Good. Well, I appreciate it. That was a lot better of a picture. I just wanted a few pictures, but
Yeah.
That's very good. Thank you.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Brian.
Yep.
So Brian, there's 50 cents on here. Does this mean 50 cents is a subcontractor?
50, what?
The 50 cents on the price. I'm just teasing you, Brian.
Got me on that one, sorry. Just to note that price though, the bid, that was the bid price, and we'll tab these out so we have unit prices. We probably won't spend $1 million on this because we don't have it, but we'll spend up to the amount that we have using these unit rates. And that was made apparent to the bidders in the contract. It's a fixed quantity, fixed amount contract. So when we run out of money, we stop. Now we'll plan that out so we don't stop in the middle of somewhere like that, but we won't hit $1 million. We just don't have the money to do that. So.
Brian, if I remember right, that I was kind of surprised so many of the bids were actually quite close to each other.
They were. This is one of the closest bids we've had, so that was good. Yeah.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Hearing no further discussion, Councilman Harvey, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Malcolm?
Aye.
Councilman Spread?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
Councilman Fitzgerald?
Aye.
Councilman Saucedo?
Aye.
And Councilman Brackett.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted with all ayes. Next, we have presented for City Council to consider is a request to approve the issuance of a purchase order to Martin Whitaker in the amount of $47,500 for the final design survey of the West Side Trail. Is there a motion to approve this request as submitted?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Harvey with a second by Councilman Spread. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. Next, we have a fabulous presentation by a fabulous presenter on the community branding and marketing effort.
Low expectations, I tell you.
Thank you, Greg.
Got here early, it was all set up, ready to go, and then Steinman showed up.
Yep, threw a wrench into it.
And there he goes. Good evening, Council Mayor. I'm Greg Jenkins with the Greater Muscatine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and I'm here on behalf of the Branding Steering Committee to make presentation and bring us up to date on where we are with this initiative that's been undertaken I got quite a few slides. The number would be startling, but we'll breeze through quite a few of those. So the Branding Steering Committee is made up of management from the City of Muscatine, Community School District, Muscatine Community College, Muscatine Power and Water, Unity Point Trinity Muscatine, and the Chamber of Commerce. And many of those folks are in the room tonight, and I appreciate you guys coming out. This group has been meeting for some time and has been working towards how to make Muscatine a better community and how do we engage in a process by which we can put a tool to help us do that. And one of the motivators is this slide right here. You know, that every day in this community, we import 10,653 people to come to work here. There are 5,655 who go out of Muscatine to go to work, and there's about 9,000 people who live here and work here. And people live in other communities for whatever reason they may. You know, some just want to commute back and forth to where their family and friends are. We get that. But think about the possibilities if we could make even a 10% difference in that. That's a significant number for this community, and even that would drive additional folks to work here and live here. So that was one of the drivers behind us taking this initiative forward to put in place a tool that will help us drive our identity, and it's just a tool. You know, one of the things for me is that Muscatine's a great town. It truly is. It is. There's strong infrastructure from public safety to the streets, to the school system, the healthcare. All those things are great things in this community. We don't do a very good job of telling that story. And we think this tool will help us do that, will send us on the path to make that happen. We ultimately, in late 2016, I actually thought this was going to be a 6-month project, and now we're in the middle of 2018 reporting out on it. That was I don't know how we managed that. Contracted with a firm named North Star Destinations out of Nashville, who worked long and hard with us to pull this off. The processes followed were a great deal of research from all of the printed materials they could gather up and take a look at to get an understanding about the community, to focus group sessions, to a community survey that was sent out far and wide, and every one of the entities here participated in getting that out. And frankly, we had over 1,000 responses to this community survey. And we're told that we would be in the same realm as a San Antonio or someplace like that with the percentage of responses that we had. And so that was very well done. And from that, they were able to determine what the community felt about themselves. They also did research in our competitors, if you will, communities around us, to get an understanding of what they think and feel about Muscatine or their perceptions of the community as well. And so from all of that came forth something we'll call it the strategic DNA. And I'll get into that in just a second. And then once that was determined and agreed to by the group, then the creativity piece came to play. What is the tagline going to be? What's the logo going to look like? And I want to be sure and impress upon you that this was, though the chamber facilitated the process, that facilitation means we've kind of booked the meetings and set up stuff, and we were maybe the main contact with the contractor. But this is a committee, a team that did the work to pull this off. And so I want to make sure we know that this just wasn't a chamber initiative. It's a community initiative. So the strategic DNA is essentially a phrasing that we will build from. I mean, once we had agreed to what this was about, this was what was the backbone for how we move forward with what the brand would be. And so, oh boy, how's that for reading? You got that, Tom? No. So the DNA is broken down by target audience, which is for those with global horizons who want to watch the sunset in the Midwest. And you can take that to mean, we have businesses that work around the globe and people who travel the globe. We also have people that are perfectly happy to stay at home and take advantage of what the community has to offer. It's not about sitting on the sidelines, it's about having choices that Muscatine offers. Frame of reference, where are we? It's an industrial power between Iowa City and the Quad Cities. The point of difference is where the Great Bend of the Mississippi turns small-town ingenuity into unbounded enterprise. And the benefit is so you can access the world stage or you can watch it flow by. You make that choice. There are options available to you, and the community has those things to offer. I like to read it in whole because it becomes a little bit truer. So it's for those with global horizons who want to watch the sunset in the Midwest, Muscatine, an industrial power between Iowa City and the Quad Cities, is where the Great Bend of the Mississippi turns small-town ingenuity into unbounded enterprise, so you can access the world stage or watch it flow by. And when you piece that together, and I mean, there is truth in that, and that is greatly, I mean, it does resonate to me that that is a great way of what Muscatine is about. I'm gonna have to do the more slides here so I get the font size better, I think. There's a brand narrative that has been established, and Kevin Jennison with the city and I worked, and the rest of the team worked on putting this together, but essentially it is a document that anybody could pick up and start understanding more about what Muscatine is about, what its features and benefits are about, and what each one of those things that we talked about before, infrastructure and education and the like, how those are of value in the Muscatine, and how people in Muscatine ought to value them, and how somebody on the outside ought to look at that. It can serve as a guide for users of it, working to integrate brand tone and language into their own marketing and communications. It helps maintain consistency of tone and message amongst all users, thus preserving the integrity of the brand. And it provides language users can replicate verbatim in their own communications when applicable. So let's just look at some logos and strap lines and give you a sense of what's coming to this. On the left is the logo that's been established and chosen by the team. It represents the river on top, the bend in the river you can see in the blue, and then the shoreline is on the side in the greens. And the tagline there, or strap line that they recommend and we bought into, is that where the river takes a turn for the better. And if you can see on that magazine slide on the right, it's just how the tool could be put to work. You can see that this is a person who's at work, but it's also somebody else who's taking advantage of the community, in this case, bicycle ride on the trails. It's your turn for the better. And that's just a turn of the phrase, if you will, and so how you might use this. And a larger representation of the logo. There's a multitude of custom logo options. Each one is, so these would be some that the city might select. I'm not going to try to make determination here about which way you're headed with this. Greg, do you want to make any comment here at all? Or
I think there's applications for each and every one of them, whether it be letterhead, for example, on the bottom. That works very well for letterhead. You may use a lapel pin. I mean, there's multiple applications, right?
I think one of the points to make here is that one of the things we see happening is that the city, the CVB, and the chamber will all have recognizable similar logos. If they may not be exactly the same, but they will be, when you see that, it'll be recognized as a Muscatine entity. So that's where we're headed with this. So there's finally some unity about the way these things look.
And that was intentional
Yes.
from the start, that the city, the CVB, and the chamber all are moving in the same direction, as long with our partners, Muscatine Power and Water, the school district, community college, and the hospital. So
Exactly. Here's some of the chamber logo options. We have selected the one on the top left is the one the chamber's going with, and if you stop by, you'll see it on the front door of our office, and our business cards are set. So we didn't wait long before we started rolling out. Maybe we got too hot to go, but we wanted to get on. CVB, Muscatine Convention Visitors Bureau, on the top left is what we believe we're going to choose. We may go with the Visit Muscatine, but maybe it's visitmuscatine.com. So we'll see how we'll put these things to work. Partner logos, you'll see a slide later, this in one of our shops in the community's windows. But it's just about being a partner for the better in Muscatine, and how can they represent that in their location that they're part of this. Power and Water, as I understand, will be putting this in place in the not too distant future. Isn't that right, Sal? This is an example of how one of the partners might put this tool to work, and sorry for putting you on the spot there, Sal, but you get a look and a feel for how they might use it, and otherwise how the slides, or how it could work together. So from that then, so the logo's established, the tagline's set, it's like, how are we going to put this to work? And they have given us, I think there's 64 pages in our final report of brand action items, and I'm going to go through each one of those at length now. I am going to share many slides, and we're going to move briskly through this, but I want you to get some sense of how we're going to put this brand to work so we can see how it will work in the community. It's broken down by organizational, or community, or infrastructure. Businesses now, wrong, or partners.
Businesses.
So organizationally, you can see, I hope you can see, Greg Bonsager's potential new business card that he might be able to put to work, front on top, maybe the bottom on the back. You can see stationery that you might put in the, or letterhead that might be used. This is an additional shot of additional stationery. These are PowerPoint backdrops. And so I hope you'll see that we've used that here today, and these can be of great value when you go to market with this. I particularly like this lapel pin, and I'm waiting for Greg to put in place his new batch of these so we can hand them out to every visitor that he gets. What could you put on the back of a vehicle? I've bought 10 of these now just for a sample, and I haven't got it on the back of my truck yet, but I like the looks of that. I think it adds a lot to that color of that vehicle and also represents Muscatine. Musket bus, I mean, you could do some pretty cool stuff with the Musket bus and bring that to life, and why not?
We do have an app budgeted, if you recall, from this year, and we'll be beginning that process as well. So we'll have an opportunity to incorporate that into not only the app, but our website redesign will begin in probably late July as well. We'll have an opportunity to incorporate these designs, so, as well as a landing page.
Yep, we're getting there. It'll come up in a second.
Coming up. And wouldn't that make a great soccer ball for the college search kickoff handout next year? So.
Yeah, it would, and the shirt's even growing on me because I do.
Ragbri.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Infrastructure, you know, these are signs that, the flags that could be on 2nd Street as you're going down through there. The one says where art turns into an event. The middle one is where music turns into a symphony. And the last one then is where discovery turns into adventure. Again, it's the turn of the phrase. It keeps that front and center, and you can see the logo layout back behind there, so it is present in what we're doing and trying to establish and maintain its integrity. Entry signs to the community, I don't know, that'll be a trick, but I think that will be awesome when we can get that done. Wayfinding throughout the community, that it's a potential that we might be able to put in place. Park entrances to define or have people recognize it's a park that they may come into. A selfie wall that's just some place where visitors to our community or even people in the community can stop and get a picture that's just kind of fun to do. Not a big expense to do it, but why not? For business, this is Muscatine Magazine as just an example of how you might integrate that into the cover of that and where you might put the tagline up top. And again, what you might have in a magazine ad or the like, it's your turn for the better. Again, it's a mix of the logo into two different entities or two different pictures sharing what Muscatine could be about. This is the chamber, it's an example of the chamber website, and you know, for me, it's where training turns into profit. Again, a good use of the term. Where talent turns into teamwork. It's my turn, how I turn my dreams into reality in Muscatine. Maybe someday this could be the CVB band sitting down at the soccer field. You never know, but it looks pretty cool to me, and why not? How you put a chair to work, I mean, it just represented. I'm going to go back and have that brand put on the back of the chair at some point, I swear I am. And then partners. We talked about this a little bit before, but why not have this a partner for the better in Muscatine on an entryway into one of our shops or the shops? And this is the portal that you were talking about, Greg, where we can all, somebody can go to this and recognize that this is the things that Muscatine has to offer. It's kind of one-stop shopping where you can get it all. There's another example of it. Maybe Trinity can get water bottles together, or the high school can get backpacks put together. Again, back to Power and Water, spending their money for them, but wouldn't that be cool to see the trucks running around looking like that?
Full wrap.
And for the college, it's turned cafeteria into cafe, or turned metalwork into artwork. These are pieces that should resonate with people, and here's an example how you might be able to use that in their facility. That is the slides that I have, and we'll be happy to take questions. I know this fine person here maybe wanted to comment.
Please
Do you
do.
guys want to talk about this
Go ahead.
before we do that?
You can go ahead and come on up.
My
Please.
name is Mary Beveridge, and I've grown up in Muscatine. I've gone to the public schools here and until college, and following graduate school at Brown University, I taught in high school, in college, and university in Rhode Island and Connecticut. For the past 5 years, I've spent many, many hours working to preserve our buildings, our rich architectural heritage, as a member of the Muscatine County Historic Preservation Commission. And I'm also a member of the Friends of Muscatine Historic Preservation. I've always considered Muscatine my home, and I'm here today to voice my concerns about this latest initiative, rebranding Muscatine. First of all, I was never surveyed directly. I do recall an article about a class project by students from Iowa City or MCC wanting to elicit information, probably on a website or Facebook equivalent, for a class study project. I do not answer such questions from strangers. I have, however, read all the articles as reported by the local paper. I don't know if you can call it a local paper, newspaper, the Muscatine Journal, and I have read comments and reports by some of you here today. Rebranding. The implication in the articles I have read is that our slogan, Pearl of the Mississippi, is obsolete. Or that is the way I interpret the printed statement, that slogan is historical. I do not see the benefits of rebranding or trashing our history. Muscatine has a rich history, and I've talked to many people about this. It's the button industry. It's Muscatine Island and its produce. It's Heinz's, a company that employed very early on migrant workers. And Muscatine has a history of public education and educators who have produced community leaders and world leaders, head of the World Bank, and CEOs of companies. Yes, most river towns in Iowa would give anything to have our rich history. And then there are the buildings and the renovation projects, which are still going on. And they're bringing people to Muscatine. They're making it a destination. And yes, a place to live and raise and educate their children. I agree with the initiative's identification of some major weaknesses, the lack of a taxi service and bus transportation that unfortunately mainly caters, I think it's still true, to people going to work and does not cater to seniors who cannot drive themselves to a doctor appointment or Hy-Vee. We would never be able to support a Target store. I think that was a statement in one of the articles. And residents never did support many fine restaurants here. Many fast food places, but not major dining. Education has been correctly identified as a weakness, but that is true in many, if not all, communities lately. Some weaknesses, such as recreational activities for children, are not unique to Muscatine either. They're common in all communities. We are fortunate to have an art center and a museum and a history, art center and a museum, and a history and industry center that are open and free to the people and regularly have children's programs. And this is not true in all communities, in the Quad Cities, for instance. And I could go on and mention the Jackson Concerts and Muscatine Symphony's annual free concert. I do not propose implementing the Dubuque model, as I read about, or changing our logo and erecting a wall with the logo so people can take selfies. I have also reservations about the proposed tagline, where the river takes a turn for the better. This is very problematic to me and not a good tagline. What does it mean anyway? I've heard many different meanings applied, and is it perhaps not a negative statement? Does it mean we have a bad history or past? Does it mean we are better than other river communities? This tagline can be misunderstood and sends the wrong message. We've had a history and culture that has been based on wealth and our natural resources. Why not keep our national treasure, history, and have a slogan and tagline based on this? That information you do not need to pay for. You don't have to hire a consulting firm. It is our history, and we all own it. So what is wrong with a focus on pearls? It is, after all, what makes Muscatine unique, not only along the river or in Iowa, but in the world. The pearl button industry should be the focus and emblem if you want to designate our uniqueness. The pearl button was recognized as a symbol of wealth all over the world at one time. And Muscatine has produced 1.5 billion pearl buttons annually for a period of 50 years. Why would you bring people from Nashville, Tennessee to tell us who we are and where we live? Have those people ever been to Muscatine or lived here? I tried Googling and checking this group, and I couldn't get very far. And is anyone here personally profiting from this initiative? If so, that could be very serious and involve their litigation issues here. It seems to me we're trying to rebuild the city of Muscatine from the top down. One of the proposed slogans in this initiative was Muscatine, the port city of the Corn Belt. Well, that, I'm sorry this didn't copy very well in color at all, but that was the logo in Muscatine from 1846 to 1945, the logo for the Muscatine Journal. And it didn't really work then. They gave it up and decided against it. We didn't pay for it either, anything like that. I think we paid for postcards that were on sale. And they were kind of strange orange colors on them. It didn't copy. But anyway, that was, the date 1836 to 1945, the Muscatine Journal. It was printed on postcards, and I have a copy of a journal from 1939, and where you can see the port city. Muscatine, the port city of the Corn Belt. Okay.
Ma'am, would you like to pass those
Sure, I can
through?
pass
And
them
do you
around.
have much more?
Do you want me to pass it here first?
Yes, please.
Yeah, no, I don't have much more. Okay. Anyway, who is choosing the slogan, and why does it not come to a popular vote? The people here. I'm with the people in Muscatine. I decry the companies and MCC and our school board for trying to erase our history, or at least not being cognizant of it. I say we table this rebranding initiative until we have input from the various historic preservation commissions, who should have been involved in this rebranding all along, actively involved, and not just as replying to a survey. And I'm perplexed that we have educators and professionals who would pay money to erase our history and our culture. Yes, the clamor, out in the river, or when he's in the river during flooding, when floodwaters appear, then he really appears authentic. The clamor sounds and looks much better to me. And I've never felt the urge to have a selfie taken with it, or have anybody climb up and have a selfie. I don't think anybody's tried to climb, and to have a selfie taken. The statue, as I say, does look authentic when he's sometimes surrounded by floodwaters, not that we want that. When I recently snapped a photo of Mississippi Drive from the parking lot at Guyana Grill, the tagline on my iPhone put it this way: I had nothing to do with it. And unfortunately, the tagline didn't, I can pass this around, but it didn't really, I'm sure you're familiar with it because the same picture, a similar picture, appeared in the March 31st Muscatine Journal on the front page. That was almost 5 months ago, and it hasn't changed. Okay, this is from the Guyana Grill, and that's what those people who still drive down Mississippi Drive, and I'm not one of them anymore, have to look at this. Anyway, is that going to be a rebranding?
Are you finished, ma'am?
Yes, I'm ready to finish. Okay. Anyway, I do feel that, it was my iPhone that put it that way. Described the picture. It said Muscatine-Island View. And if you look closely, you can see in the background, the water, the Mississippi, through all the rubble. The educator in me would give the initiative 3 Ds right now, unless it's tabled. The 3 Ds would be disappointed, dismayed, and disgusted. I rest my case.
Thank you, ma'am. Council, do you have any comments or questions? Any response to either?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Councilman.
I too was kind of,
Go ahead. You can go ahead and have a seat. Thank you.
I too was surprised and rather disappointed that nothing was mentioned about the string of pearls, which has been a good tagline, I think, for Muscatine, and expanding a little bit or promoting that we've always used the beautiful sunsets visible at Muscatine. And those just seem to have gone away and had some nondescript tagline that really I had trouble interpreting myself. As I sent an email to everybody here on the council, you got my opinion of what we got for our money and time.
Thank you, Councilman. Anyone else?
I would say I see it as a framework to incorporate things like that and take what they have put together and bring those ideas forward, bring our history forward into this framework and utilize that so that we can take this design, which I really like the design. I'm coming around to the tagline a bit, but overall, I really think that it's something where we can take that old, mix it with this new, and really make everything shine, and utilize that so that we can take all this work that's been done. That I think, you know, there was a lot of thought that went into it. I think that it's very nice work that's been done. I like the direction it's going, but I also agree that we need to hold on to our history as well and utilize that. So, you know, I see it as a framework. This was samples. Those were not finished products as far as the ads that were shown. These are things that can be built upon and go forward from there. So I support it with the encouragement that we hold on to our history and make sure and present that as well. So
Thank you,
that's my
Councilman.
comment.
Councilman Malcolm?
I'm gonna go back to, when I was showed this, and Kelsey and Mr. Jenkins and I talked about it earlier, and I said, guys, this is very nice, I'm very impressed, a lot of good work, but I don't see the city flag in this anywhere. And I don't know why, I'm just stickler with this is driving me nuts. In the military, you wear the American flag on your uniform, it identifies who you are. We show a soccer ball here. I don't see a city flag in the middle of that soccer ball. That would be a very good place for it. You had a very nice shirt there. There's no city flag on the lapel there. I like the city of Muscatine flag, and I have a hard time finding it in this city. And so I'm gonna go nuts again, because I think whatever rebranding you do still has to include that flag that represent the Muscatine people here. I mean, just, you know, I'm just a little nuts like that. I'm sorry. You know, I'd like to see that flag somewhere in this, and I don't see it yet. I need to see that flag. Other than that, I'm good. You know, I think it's very good work. I think it's very proactive, and it'll draw people. And, you know, I can see the selfie wall, but put a city flag in the corner so you can take a picture with the selfie wall with the city flag too, to say you're in Muscatine. You know, we need that flag. I'm passionate for this flag. That's
Thank
it,
you.
Your Honor.
Thank you,
I'm
Councilman
good.
Malcolm.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I wrote a couple words down that match Councilmember Brackett's. I really think the effort that's gone into it honors our history and looks to the future. I mean, if you look back to the very beginning of the process, a number of folks identified the need to market Muscatine. We've never told our story. It's one of our goals is to tell our story. We've never marketed our community. And those discussions led to this original effort and kickoff, and it's a compromise. I didn't get my particular favorite. Greg didn't get his particular favorite. Sal certainly didn't get his particular favorite. But it's a compromise, and it was a community-wide process that had a ton of input, as Greg noted, as well as expertise from an organization that works with mainly communities across the country, and that they are experts in pulling out that information. I think if you look at the DNA, I think they did a pretty good job in pulling out our history and who we are in that DNA. But I really think that it honors our history, and it helps us look to the future, and it helps us tell our story and market Muscatine. And the more I read through here, each time I look at it, I see opportunities where we can tell our story, and the numerous things that are going on throughout our community, whether they be the hotel or investment or small things where you've got the coffee belt, I believe is on the presentation. That's a great story to tell in our downtown. We have a number of new small businesses that have been opening. So I think there's any number of ways that this effort can be used to market Muscatine, to tell our story, to honor our future, and the opportunities that we have that are currently going on and coming forward. So,
Thank you. Anyone else? Greg, did you have any final comments? Thank you. All right, thanks for coming. We appreciate it. We have one final thing on the agenda tonight, kind of on the same order. Back in April, I started putting together a show called Our City, and inviting various community people, whether they be city staff, councilmen, captains of industry, several of you here in this room actually, to come and talk about the different things that they're doing and share that with the community. I've had a lot of good feedback from it, and we've done about 16 or 17 shows so far. So we put together for you tonight, just you'll see on this screen back here, that way the folks at home can see everything. Some highlights from what we've done, and then Chad Yoakum with Media Tree is who produces the show. He put together some statistics, and I think, Kevin, you did too. If you've ever tried to look at Facebook statistics, if you try to print something off, there's like 87 pages. So to try to make your way through that is a crazy nightmare. And we unfortunately can't get any statistics on like the folks at home watching on Channel 9. So anything that we get doesn't include that. But we wanted to just show you a few highlights of what we're doing. We do this every Tuesday night here in the mayor's office. So if you'll check out the back of the room here. I don't think it's good. Is it going to be up here too, Chad?
Well, it might be. We're going to try to see if we can get it to play on both screens.
For sure it'll be on this back one. We know that.
It's up there. So let's see if I can get it to play here, so that way the big screen will show it as well.
I'll say I noticed that the little pamphlet put together here has some of the new material integrated into it.
Yep.
All right.
There we go.
Go ahead and roll it,
Perfect.
Ryan. So this is a video we prepared as, let's see, March 8th, we got granted by the City Council to produce a show, and here's a summary.
I think it is such a gift that the city gives to the community to provide free bus rides for any child up to the age of 18 all summer long.
Yeah, we're excited to do that. We usually have a pretty good response in the summer from kids riding.
And so if they can ride the bus free and then be able to enter the pool at a reduced cost, I mean, how nice is that for the families in our community?
Exactly.
It really is. All of us working together.
Yep.
Yep.
Where visitors can kind of navigate through the collections that are on view. So we use this technology feature so that we could share information. So you can look up details about the paintings that are on view or the sculpture or
That's always nice to make sure you get some information about what you're looking at.
We now have a a touchscreen video where visitors can find out a little bit more about the history of the historic house and the family that lived there.
Oh, that's a great idea. We have an FSS program, Family Self-Sufficiency Program, really focused on them becoming self-sufficient, helping them increase their earned income so they can move on to better things. But one of the biggest things we do is we have a housing counseling program, which historically has focused a lot on home ownership and assisting first-time home buyers, which is great because that moves people on as well. I mean, it helps people achieve the American dream, become really integrated in their communities. We started a Step Ahead class to help renters, both to help the landlords and to help the tenants.
We're changing the name of the plant to the Water and Resource Recovery Facility. It used to be called the sewer plant back in the 60s when they first brought it up. What we're doing now is really different than wastewater. We're not doing water pollution control anymore. We're really doing resource recovery. One of the things that we're really bringing out is the fact that this is not wastewater. We're recovering that water that's dirty and we make it clean and we put it back into the environment as a nice clean resource. And we're actually talking about reuse of that water. MARV is the Muscatine Area Resource Recovery for Vehicles and Energy. This is an organic waste recovery or food waste recovery facility. We're going to be bringing in a lot of waste from different facilities in town. Now we're going to use that organic material to make gas for vehicles and energy.
To wrap up tonight by just showing you some pictures of the new library. What an amazing facility we have for our new library here. It was a gorgeous building to begin with, and then all the renovations they did to make this fit into being a library. I know Pam Collins, she was just on here a couple weeks ago. Her and her staff have worked very hard to get such a wonderful collection at our library. Now there's a little bit more privacy, a much better room acclimated to being used for a computer room. Nice community spaces too. There are several different rooms that you can use for your community event, your community meeting. Look at this huge room here. Get a hold of the library because they have all kinds of spaces that are available now for the community to use whenever they need. Parking is wonderful at the new library. They have their own parking lot in the back. Very easy to get in and out of. There's some people, because I've spoken with several of them, that the computers at the library are what they use.
Yeah.
So they really rely on that service.
Yes.
What a great service that it is for the people in the community.
That's one of the roles libraries fill. People don't think about it a lot, but we really serve as an equalizer, especially with technology for people, because not everyone has a computer or has the internet at home, and in our society that's almost essential these days.
We have our next guest with us here, and it's Kelsey Brackett. Kelsey's been in Muscatine a long time and doing a lot of great things for our community. We love having him on the council. The community's certainly loving reaching out to him whenever they need him, and he's also a big volunteer. And he came today to talk about a new project he's working on, the Soapbox Derby.
And so between, Brian Steinman, the Director of Public Works here in Muscatine, myself, John Haggerty, and some of the original volunteers as well, got together and decided, we got to keep this going. We have a lot of fun with it. We saw how much fun people were having with it. So we couldn't let it stop.
And so we are bringing Over the Edge to Muscatine. This is a globally recognized fundraiser. Stanley Consultants Laurel Building. It's right on the corner of 2nd and Iowa. It is about 94 feet tall.
If you haven't been out to the farmer's market yet, now is the time. It is fabulous. My husband and I went down there. I had to keep making him go back into his wallet for more and more stuff, but it was great. The strawberries were so sweet. I would like to highlight something that's been going on this week. This is National Garden Week. And I had an opportunity on Saturday to go out and meet with Sandra Wales, Mary Wellington, Janet Cardux, and Kathleen Green.
So at this time, I would like the opportunity to welcome
Actually.
Mayor Diana Broderson.
Thank you so much. I am so happy to be part of this wonderful weekend celebrating 40 years of dance with Miss Louise. She has shaped the lives of our girls, the girls in our community. She has not only taught them dance, but grace, confidence, perseverance, and core values. We are a better community because Miss Louise is a part of it. And we are oh so lucky to have her.
We had the grand opening of the Greenwood Cemetery Steps. We went there with the kindergartners from Franklin School, and we did a little ribbon cutting with them. They loved it.
How many steps are there, Mr. Bromwell?
According to the kindergarten class from Franklin School, there was 221. And I've counted them, and I've come up with 222, 223, and 224.
How nice is it to have a group of people, just citizens, get together and work together towards a common goal and actually see it come to be?
It's going to be off of Hauser. The pollinator garden is going to be our neighbor too.
And there will be fences between each one? Okay.
We're going to have an acre and a half for small dogs. We have a half acre for seniors, senior people, senior dogs, sort of a quieter area.
Follow the music. That's going to be free of charge to the community in honor of the Stanleys.
Dick and Mary Jo made enormous contributions to the economic, cultural, and physical well-being of Muscatine residents. Gave of their time, talent, and treasure to support worthy causes which continue to enhance the lives of Muscatine residents.
We are so excited to have the Pollinator Park now open. The Muscatine Pollinator Project, of course, is filled with all different individuals. There's a lot of them. Certainly just a great deal of people come together and work as volunteers tirelessly for this project. I wanted to start tonight's show by just sharing with everyone some really good stuff that we had going on last week on Wednesday. We have several firefighters that were promoted, and it was so awesome to see their families there, them getting their awards and getting promoted. And that all happened right after we celebrated the retirement of Brian Abbott.
Fire dripping from a light fixture at the ceiling, and it was dripping and getting out of control really fast. And he was able to grab the cordless phone and call 911 to get the emergency services rolling to the house that was actually on fire. And he was able to instruct his grandmother, who's legally blind, and got her outside. What was interesting was all that stuff that he learned at Colorado School during a fire prevention public education talk that was presented by the Muscatine firefighters.
Thank you all for coming today. It means a lot to us. Memorial Day, as we know, is not just the 3-day weekend, but it really is a time for us to remember our veterans, our fallen veterans, our soldiers.
The YMCA, as most of you know, has just been going through a major expansion, and we have put $7 million that was donated by the community into expanding and making it be the kind of facility that our community deserves and wants to have for our families. Muscatine CVB. Yeah. I think what a neat job.
It's very rewarding, and there's always something going on in Muscatine.
Appreciate you putting the show on. I appreciate you hosting this, and I know that your purpose is to talk about the good things happening in Muscatine.
Oh, yes.
There's so many that we need to just keep our eye on. I think that's awesome.
We'll never run out of topics.
No, I think not.
Never run out of guests. That's right.
I think our guys and girls are doing a great job out there. And
I think so.
Doing some good things in the community too. So.
And people were saying that their homes were damaged. At the end of the day, then they would have all of these pieces of paper all over their yard.
Yes, it's kind of funny you say that because I was cleaning my gutters the other day, and I cleaned some out of my gutters. There was some fireworks in my gutters. So.
Well, people don't dare do them in your neighborhood.
Oh, no.
First of all, thanks for having me
on
your show. And
Sister City in general and its mission is very dear to my heart.
And you've brought several people from other countries in here to the mayor's office to meet me, and I've been so pleased to be able to do that.
And thanks for always welcoming them and receiving them.
My
so,
pleasure.
Yeah.
I am working on cleaning the ditches in the southern part of town, just up from Dick Drake Way. My husband Charlie and I worked on the ditch just between Mississippi's and Sampson Street a couple of weeks ago, and we managed to get almost a dumpster full of stuff.
I'm actually in charge of disaster services for the Salvation Army for Muscatine County. And they found it interesting that from a standpoint that all of us came from all around the world to come help them with their problem.
Muscatine is so well known for helping out everyone else. Giving, kindness.
Yes.
Yes.
But what we just started last week, which is like really exciting, we paired up with the food pantry, and so when they have extra food that, on Fridays that they can't hold over till Monday, they're dropping it off at Sunset Park and the 4 schools.
So tell us about, what is the Kids First Fund?
Yeah, so the Kids First Fund is, it was designed for 2 purposes. One, it was designed to get kids into activities that might not have otherwise gotten involved in activities because of the cost. And then the second part of what the Kids First Fund does is it's through school referral. So any school personnel can notice a need that a child or student has.
Okay.
And they can have a school administrator sign off on a referral to us, and then the Kids First Fund can pay for whatever it is they may need.
Well, thanks, Chief, for
Yeah,
coming.
thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It was
hey,
fun.
if anything comes up, give us a holler.
I will.
Love to have you
again,
back.
Please abide by the rules. That's all I ask you,
That's
folks.
it.
Thank you, and have a good 4th of July.
Yep.
All right.
I think that's it. Okay, go ahead.
the streets of the city where our loved ones have gone before. We will stand by the banks of the river where we'll study war no more. Well, as we walk through the streets of the city where our loved ones have gone before, we will stand by the banks of the river where we'll study war no more. Yeah, God be, oh thou great Jehovah, lead me to this barren land. Oh, I am weak, but thou almighty. Oh, yes, we'll hold on to his powerful hand. Well, as we walk through the streets of the city where our loved ones have gone before, we will stand by the banks of the river. Yeah, we'll study one no more.
Deal of fun doing this. There are so many great things going on in the community. People are asking me now to be guests, and we're booked out into September. Statistical, I mean, there's different numbers to be had.
Speaking of the statistics, I have a handout for everybody.
Go ahead.
The paper clips might be coming off, but you'll see the rundown here of each show. In 16 shows, we've actually had 12. So actually 12 are on this sheet. We had a 13th one on Tuesday, that we did not incorporate into the presentation other than Bob's comment about the cemetery steps. So on the front of the sheet, again, the rundown, the same statistics that you saw in the video, and on the back is weekly rundown again, and then shown over time on the chart. The episode with John DeBeat and Amy Fortenbacher exceeded 3,000, so it's above the 3,000 mark as far as the reach goes. So as you were saying, starting to say, Mayor, what are these statistics? What do they mean? Well, if you've ever tried to download statistics from the Facebook pages, turns into like 400, 500, 600 columns of just different information. So you could almost choose anything. I chose the more prevalent ones that you find pretty much right when you log into the Facebook page and see it. And then at the bottom, I've kind of defined in Facebook's own glossary how these are defined. So the reach basically is a number of unique people who saw the content. It affects every other metric you can track. The views, these are triggered when someone watches for at least 3 seconds. And then the 10-second video views are logged when somebody watches it, whichever comes first, either 97% of the video or 10 seconds. So I guess the thought that they have is anybody that watches it over 10 seconds is most likely to watch it for maybe the duration. So again, those are the definitions as Facebook has them. And you can see some positive growth the first few weeks. First episode was nice, and then steadily increasing each week, topping the charts. And actually, that's cool about that was John DeBeat shared it, and you can pull up a map on Facebook. Like I said, you can all sorts of statistics. And there were people, you're a worldwide celebrity, Mayor. There's people in the India and in the Middle East that have watched.
I saw a couple of those. I thought, where in the world?
Yeah. So we've appreciated the opportunity to produce. MediaTree has appreciated this opportunity. Not possible without Ryan Broderson or Betsy McDonald behind that closed door there right now as we speak. It's been a lot of fun. Hope to continue.
Thank you, Chad, and thanks for putting these numbers together. They don't always make a lot of sense, and I know we're not doing any kind of marketing or advertising, and it's not shown on Channel 2, but it is shown on Channel 9. So
yeah, and that's on the back of the cards. It has the times that it's played back. Officially, Channel 9 plays them back at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. on Wednesdays, 7 p.m. on Thursdays. And then I know that I've seen them at other times than that, so it does play more than just those 3. Those are the 3 official times, I guess. And live every Tuesday in the mayor's office at 6:30, then available to watch until the internet goes down or they're removed. And whatever comes first.
What's even better is that there's no cost to the city at all, so I guess if even only 5 people were watching, it'd be worth it. Thank you.
Welcome.
Any questions for Chad? No. Kevin, did you have anything you wanted to add? Okay.
I've been in the communications game for longer than I want to tell you, but elected officials, mayors, representatives, senators, they all like to be able to get their message out. It's just the way it has been in history. Muscatine mayors have had this, whether it was so many years ago, I can't remember the name of the mayor, but he was very good friends with one of the reporters for the Journal at the time, and that reporter always made sure that the best stories about Muscatine were put in the paper, and the bad stories kind of hit the back page or inside somewhere. Progressing on with the advancement of media, I mean, the radio shows that the former mayors have put together. We've also had television shows that were produced MCC and elsewhere. They've all done what we wanted them to do, which is promote Muscatine. And this show is doing exactly the same thing. We are telling Muscatine's story. The I could go through the PowerPoint that I presented, but I handed it out to you. Kind of explains everything. Some of the questions that we have to look at is, how can we make this better? Right now, we are the average watch time for the show is 34 seconds, which if you get into the statistics like I do a lot, it just means that people will start watching, or they have autoplay on their computers, the video will pop up and then they'll click out. That's that 3 to 10 second range. So in the statistics, when you see the 10-second views or more, that's a little bit more accurate number as to the number of people who actually watched it. So what we want to do is try to increase that number as much as possible. And John DeBeat's show that was mentioned with 3,000 reach, there was 1,387 video views, but only 579 were of 10 seconds or more. So that's roughly about 40%. We'd like to see that number increase. So I think one of the goals of my presentation and all these statistics is a quest for suggestions and ideas of what can be done through MediaTree, through my office or whatever, to kind of make this better. Is this the best medium? I think for some it is. We're still struggling to get the Facebook page likes and the viewership that we need on the page, but for this, you know, I'm not going to say anything bad about anything that promotes Muscatine, and this has been an excellent opportunity. The combination of what I do, what the mayor does, what the council members do in their wards and throughout the community, just the one-on-one, all that is working to make it more positive about Muscatine. But we do need to think about what we can do to make this show better. Do we need to shorten it? You know, Facebook doesn't like long shows. I mean, people tune out really easy when it's 10 minutes or more. I mean, unless they're really into it, they won't stick with it. So do we want to make this more digestible on Facebook? Is there other ways that we might be able to do this and still keep our costs down?
Are you suggesting like having it go on channel 2 also? Because there would be a cost involved in that.
There would be a cost involved in that, and I think there's other ways, and the market that we're looking for is not really just in Muscatine.
Right.
We want to hit outside what MPW gives us on their cable. So the internet is a good possibility and good place to do it. I have talked to Chad about maybe doing a YouTube page for this, and we can link it to the city's YouTube page, which is the easiest way to do it, because right now the link is there, but you just can't see it. But if we go ahead and develop that page, maybe that can do it. What other things we need to do? I don't know. I mean, there's just maybe some mechanics of it. We had the problem with the sound the other day that I like the comment about from the one gentleman said that he thought it was being produced by mimes.
He didn't understand there's a 2-minute lag on Facebook when it's live. But it's not just watched on Facebook, it's watched on YouTube at Channel 9 also, so.
It's
I think people are starting to see that there's that time lag for live stuff, even for the city council meetings.
Well, yeah, I see that also. I mean, and I think the question that was originally posed to us when we first started this is how many people are going to view it. And right now, we're averaging 2.5 persons per live show, which is that mean that we need to just film it, polish it up, and publish it the next day, or keep doing the live version and just, you know, the interaction is good. You know, what we just need to think of those things that will make this show better. And there's.
I think everyone's getting better, and I think they'll just, with experience, they'll continue to get better.
Yeah,
but I think they're pretty good now.
But you know, you can look at the Mike's statistics and Chad's. They're pretty similar. So, but that's the data that I look at.
Now, most of this data is just Facebook, right?
This is just Facebook.
So it's not telling us any YouTube watches or any Channel 9 watches?
I don't know of a YouTube page.
That's what I thought. Well, I think it's on YouTube also.
I think you tried to make a link, but I don't know how successful that was.
Well, I think the suggestion that you made about giving it its own YouTube page and tying that in would be good, because then it would be a one-stop. So, I mean, I'll be honest. A lot of people, my kids, you know, they'll watch stuff on Facebook. I prefer to watch things on YouTube if I'm going to watch it on the internet that way. So for me, you know, if there was a YouTube page where I can go click on it, you know, I subscribe to those, you know, to different YouTube pages where I can then go back and watch the shows. So that would be my preference.
I'm a novice at this stuff.
Sure.
I don't understand all of it. So I understand you have a Facebook. This is all Facebook information.
This is all Facebook.
I'm assuming that if you had a YouTube channel, you would have similar data?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Identical? I mean, there's something here called reach, and I'm not sure what that means. There's some big numbers there, but I don't know what
reach is just when, if you're ever on Facebook and you're scrolling up and a post goes by, that's counted as a reach.
Okay.
They have reach, then 10 seconds, then
okay, I get
30.
That.
Do they have a 30-second?
Some do.
Some do.
It depends on what algorithms you want to get into. Personally, you know, I look at the minutes viewed, the number of video views. That kind of gives me an idea of whether people are watching it for long periods of times or short periods of times. But the other thing that the system will tell you is if these are actually unique people or they're people coming back. Most of the statistics show that most of the viewers come and watch it the next day, or they save it at a point and continue to watch it. Facebook really doesn't do a great job of differentiating between what has been seen and what is still to be seen. They kind of count it as two separate things. So if you watch one part of the show one day and another part of the show another day, that's two different shows to them.
It's not counted as those statistics that I had in front of you. I mean, you could probably find, like I said, there's like 1,000 columns of information, but those are all unique numbers on the statistics that I talked about on that sheet.
So would it need its own? I know, Kevin, you said you were having a hard time figuring out how to link it on the city's YouTube page. And I know Kelsey had one time offered to help with that, but do you not know how to have it go through the cities, or you're saying it should have its own?
The best way to do this is to have its own YouTube page.
Okay.
I think because of the number of videos that you post up there, not only the shows, but some of the other videos that you've been posting up there, it's a good idea because we can't put all that on the city council page, city page. But what I wouldn't mind doing is having a subsection like we've had before on the city page for Our City. I have one there for the communications. That's where I've been putting some of the videos from the aerial shots, the drone shots of Mississippi Drive and things. And that's kind of where we're going to be putting some of those other videos that come through my office. It's also the section where we used to have the other shows that the Our City show or the Emily show.
What are you talking about?
The MCC one?
The MCC shows that were
on
there.
I saw those were on there.
They were on there. We kind of put them off to the side so that we can have a little bit fresher. I think that YouTube would give you the viewership that you wanted, but I also think that we need to think about the mechanics of it and what we can do to make it better for the viewer. The information is great, the topics are good. We applaud any effort to say the positives about Muscatine, but I just think that given the numbers that I see, there are ways that we can make this better.
I don't see any reason why we can't do a YouTube page, do you?
I asked.
Yeah.
And,
or do you know how to set that up for us?
That's no problem.
Okay.
The only thing I have to do is, I think one of the things we talk about is the ownership of the videos.
Well, I guess two questions. One, I did have that question about ownership. I wanted to make sure that it was city owned, but I guess what I'm seeing here is the viewership is averaging 34 seconds. So people may watch it 10 seconds, they may watch it for an hour or 43 minutes. They may watch the whole show or they may watch 10 seconds, but the average watch time, so they're watching it for 34 seconds. I'm wondering if there's a way, so rather than having an hour-long show, if you could have 10-minute segments, so that if I wanted to watch this segment, I could watch this or this or this, rather than having, because people just don't have the time to watch, and I don't think, today, you don't find a lot of people watching an hour-long segment or a 45-minute section. So I'm wondering if you broke that down into, for example, a 10-minute segment, and you said, about the library, a 10-minute segment about the transfer station, a 10-minute segment about
actually they're 15 minutes each.
But whatever it is, but rather than having an hour-long show, now I can go in and.
I'm sorry, it's not an hour. It's a half an hour to 25 minutes, or to 35, 40 minutes.
38 to an hour. It just depends on anywhere from 38 to an hour. I'm thinking if you can break it down by topic and say, then if I want to watch a quick piece on the soapbox derby, I can go in there and watch that piece, but I don't have to go listen to the chief talk about whatever it might be. Sorry to pick on you, but I'm trying to see, is there a way to increase your viewership and the time of, or the length of that viewership?
Well, Greg, how much money do you have you want to spend to do it? I mean, keep in mind, this is no cost to the city.
Right.
Sure. So you're saying, let's continue to do all this stuff, and you've got all these ideas.
Right.
Well, show me the money. I mean, this is, seriously, I mean,
right.
What do you expect? That program is unlike any program Quad Cities had. This is streamed live from the mayor's office.
Right.
With 3 cameras and a Skycam.
Right.
Graphics, guests, audio. Now, that is a good idea. Break it up. I'll be happy to give you the file if you want to hire somebody to edit it down and put it on your own page. That would be great.
Right.
But from the standpoint at no cost, not only is it playing back with these statistics, as you can see, are growing over the course of the episodes, but it plays back on Channel 9. Now, if we wanted to print out stats for how many people are watching live right now, this city council meeting, 1. All right, so if does anybody here really think that only one person in Muscatine is going to watch this council meeting? No, because they're going to watch it on Channel 9. We don't know how many that will be, so we don't know how many people are watching it on Channel 9 when this show plays back. Statistics are awesome. Like I said, you can go on there, export these spreadsheets, and look at all these numbers broken down to who's watching it in Qatar, to India, to Muscatine, to how many females, what the ages are. The point is, when we celebrate things in Muscatine, that's a good thing. If one person watches it or 500 people watch it, if it comes across 8,000 people's page, well, guess what? They just saw images of Muscatine. And it's still beyond that. To me, it's silly that we're even talking about this right now because there's no cost to the city. This is an opportunity that many people have taken advantage of. The mayor has had no problem getting guests.
So, Chad, when you say no cost, how do you say no cost when you have city officials that are there, officers, supervisors from the waste treatment facilities?
I guess
how are those at no cost?
Well, You mean they get paid an hourly?
Currently, they're getting pulled away from their current
Well,
job.
it's
So, I
part
mean,
of-
what I mean is that that's not a completely factual statement.
Well, are they charging time when they show up when they're invited as a guest? I mean, I didn't charge anybody any time to go. I mean, I wasn't getting paid
Yeah,
as a
but
guest.
we're getting paid. I missed my check.
But what I'm
They're
getting at is
probably
you're
all
not.
Better not pay the
salary.
police.
You guys are elected
So what I'm
officials.
saying, you're
Hey, you
elected
better not pay the
officials.
police to show up.
You're getting paid the same amount that I'm getting paid.
If it's
Right.
not in the
Usually they're-
organization's best interest to have their employees talk about
Well,
their
usually they're
departments,
department heads and they're usually salaried, so it's not like an hourly added on, but.
But we are asking them to take their personal time to do this.
Well, they can
And their
decline.
time
Well,
has,
they can
their
decline, I
their time
asked.
has value, yeah.
Yeah, they
So-
don't have to. There's
So
no
in any
force.
economic sense, there is some cost. Put dollars to it or not, doesn't matter.
Sure.
Is what it is. So I think what we're trying to get to here is talking about a communication strategy to help make more of this.
Yeah.
And that's where
absolutely.
we should go with it. Now, good point. You know, we archive our city council sessions on YouTube, and we do that intentionally. If we put this on YouTube, it's an effective way to archive the same.
Yes.
And I think that's important, especially because we're talking about it here.
I don't
mean,
think
we made a
anybody
point
disagrees
of
with
coming
that.
here to talk about should we do this. So now we have the issue of once you start archiving them and maintaining for the city's benefit, there is as Greg points out, a legal issue of who owns the content. And I think we do by virtue of what we're doing here because we're talking about it. But so, you know, there's value in all of this, and to your point, we can do more if we want to spend more money on it. I understand that too, because if you talk about not having a live broadcasting and producing it, sending it out tomorrow, somebody had to take time to do that. There's a cost. I understand.
Right.
So.
Right, and that's a very good point, Tom. You know, if we didn't do it live, then you're right. Somebody would have to sit there, edit it, and then use somebody else's time to upload it to the Facebook. This is already done. When we hit stop and shut the system down, it's archived. It's out there. It's done. I simply burn a DVD so it can play back on Channel 9, and they're archived out there on DVDs to be played back in the future. So. The documentation and celebration of what is happening in Muscatine, you know, how much, like, you look at the Grossheim prints around different places in Muscatine, the documentation of time passing in your city, what, for at no cost, other than the employees that write it down on their time card that they do it, and there's no forcing them to come. If they don't want to talk about their department or don't have enough hours left or whatever, then nobody's forcing them to come. And that's, you know, it's been enjoyable, and the feedback I have has been amazing because, again, we are using technologies that are brand new, that no other town, especially this size, is using. I mean, if you don't believe me, I challenge any of you, anybody watching this, to go search for other cities that have a mayor on a weekly basis live show, streaming from their office, multi-camera, professionally done graphics, and roll in videos to complement the story and activities that she is talking about. Now, I have a suggestion to get viewership up, a little bit more marketing. I mean, I know that you have put the comment on it, but I'm glad to see that you've finally used the logo on the Facebook page. But I've been a little bit curious as to why, you know, if you're going to be, so let's do it. Let's make these changes. Let's make more viewership. Well, let's try to first promote it more. I mean, you know, I haven't seen it in a newsletter, an employee newsletter. It hasn't been mentioned once. So the city itself we're doing this, and employees of the city are happy to come and you can see on their faces, they are happy to talk about what they are doing, but the city newsletter itself hasn't mentioned it once. And so I think if we could start there, maybe a little bit more internal promotion, a little bit more promotion. You know, we'll talk about ownership. Well, you know, what does that look like? Take some ownership. To me, would mean to market it, support it publicly, talk about it, and why not put it on the Facebook page? I mean, I've seen videos on there of a train going by, but no voiceover, just kind of 25 seconds or 50 seconds of just a train in the quiet zone. I mean, you know, I think that, my opinion is.
Would you,
Go ahead.
would you be open then to doing this for another 3 months?
Absolutely. I'd be up for doing this until the technology changes again. I mean, who knows? I mean, it might be.
I just think about the time. You're mentioning how much time it takes of your personal time to do this, and I applaud you for the work that you're doing. However, I just wonder, would you be able to do that continuously for the next 3 months, every Tuesday?
Absolutely. Yeah, it fits. It has fit into my daily schedule. So but yeah, at some point, there's not much more I can do on my end to promote it or to edit it down or make 10-minute videos, but I'd be more than happy to give a file to somebody who did have the time or was getting paid to chop them up in those pieces, hashtag it, post it back out, because you know, we do the Hy-Vee Today morning show, and that is what we do, a 90-second version of it, so that if somebody doesn't want to watch the whole show on YouTube or Facebook, then they can watch the 90-second version, which is much more mobile friendly, much more Facebook friendly. So that could be done with this show. That's what we did to put together the presentation tonight.
Right there.
Yeah. How much time does it take to do something like that?
Depending on the content of the show and the graphics, that could take, I'd say, probably 2 to 2.5 hours.
A comment I'd have on the statistics too would be, you know, if you've got a high number of short views, I mean, there's a number of times where I've gone to look at it, I watch it for a little bit, and then I get just pulled off onto something else. So I come back and watch some more later, pick up where I left off. But also, if you have, you know, 500 if you have 500 views, and the average is, you know, 30 seconds per viewer, that could be 10 people that watch the whole thing. You know, I mean, theoretically,
yeah.
I'm not doing the math right there, but you get what I'm saying. And so for me, if we have 5 to 10 people that get a good information out of this and they're watching it on Facebook, they're going to turn around and share that information. So for me, that's information that is getting out to the community, whether it's getting out direct or whether it's getting out through somebody else sharing that information after the fact. I mean, people share all kinds of wrong information. It's nice to have some good information, some correct information going out there for them to share as well.
Absolutely. And the closest that I can find without digging through those columns and columns of stats is that 10-second view. I think that's probably a really good number of who is actually watching it for the duration.
Or for at least 10 seconds.
Or for at least 11 seconds.
11 seconds.
So let me ask this question. So we're talking possibility of having your own YouTube channel. There's a YouTube channel already.
Just for this show, though.
Just for this show, a separate one.
Sounds like that's what Kevin wants to set up.
That's the easiest thing to do. And what that does is kind of differentiates. People who want to watch city council will go to the city webpage and watch the city council. People that want to watch the Our City maybe or have liked the page, maybe not know about it, but if we get the YouTube page going, in which I have very much confidence I can do, that will increase those viewers. I mean, that's a whole different...
So let me ask a question. I mean, because I looked at computer at least once. So then if we had a YouTube page for Our City, would it be ran somewhere on the city page as a link? You can click on that and they would take you to that.
Right. If you've gone to the city's YouTube page for this, down below the videos for the city council meetings is my communication.
Okay.
Where the drone footage is right now.
Okay.
That's what I started with. Right underneath that would be the Our City page, which
okay.
would show all the videos. Once I get them uploaded to that YouTube page, they'll all be there, all the shows.
Could this also be added to the city Facebook page?
Well, they're advertised on there, so when they click on that, they can.
I'm talking about if you click on the Facebook page,
it'll take you to the video.
It didn't provide a link.
Okay.
It didn't. I haven't seen a link yet on the city's Facebook page. There was a graphic, but it did. When I clicked on it, it didn't go to the actual.
Well, we're working on that now.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to find out.
But yeah, it's a possibility. Yeah, that would be a possibility with the way that it works. I mean, I would say that, you know, we should move forward with another, you know, amount of time. I mean, if we're talking, you know, 3-4 months, you know, move forward and look at some of these things that are coming up and different options that we can do, you know, and see how we can work together and make this, you know, promote this more and get it out there. I mean, I haven't seen anything negative about it. I guess there was, you know, maybe a little bit too long, and I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't disagree with maybe tightening the content down a little bit. I mean, attention spans are pretty short these days.
And you can see they've gotten shorter. I've
right.
gotten a little bit more precise, but.
Yeah, I think they've been averaging about 33 or 35 minutes the last 6 or 7 episodes. They've all been less than 40 minutes.
I try to keep like 15 minutes for each guest, and then depending, I mean, we showed like a little video from the soapbox derby and a little video from the library ribbon cutting, so those kind of things besides the 2 15 minutes keeps it like 35.
I don't think anybody wants to. I'm not trying to convince anybody that Facebook is the new TV. I mean, there's the format that we are running the show is a format made for TV.
Right.
And I agree, it's not made for Facebook, but that's where we are able to put it. Now, again, I'm more than happy to stream this on Channel 2, MPW cable, which is. Everybody has heard about fiber, so that's going to be high speed and
how much
high
would
definition.
it cost, Chad?
It would depend on what the city would want to do. I'm willing to provide the stream to cable. From there, I mean, I know that there are, like, for instance, MCC Video Department would have to get involved in that. They charge. I don't charge for this, but you start getting other people involved. There's not everybody's going to do this.
Help me with the technology. I have cable TV at home. I get both Channel 2 and Channel 9.
Right.
If it's on 9, I can see it. Why do I care if it's on 2?
Well, I'm saying 2 because if you're talking about ownership, the city probably more has a better relationship with Channel 2. That's a government channel. So when you're looking at cable, it's known as PEG, P-E-G, Public Access, Educational Access, and the government access. And so it's part of cable law, I guess, that a cable company has to have those 3 outlets, one for education, one for government, and one for public access. Muscatine is combined. Now Channel 2 is both educational and government. That's why they call it Civic TV.
Okay.
That's why we suggested 2, but we could stream it on 9. We could stream it on Channel 5, which is a commercial channel with the real estate.
Why is one free and one cost?
What, as far as what?
Channel 9 and Channel 2.
No, they both would. They would both Channel 9 and Channel 2 would require a technician from the MCC Video Department to manage that broadcast.
If it was live.
To stream it live. The
stream it
playback
live,
can be done on Channel 9.
That's what I'm wondering. You're saying it doesn't cost us anything.
Oh, and right now, yeah, I burn a DVD, and that's how it plays back. Believe it or not, a DVD.
Could we do that with Channel 2?
You could. I mean, I'm not sure what the city's contract is with Power and Water or the MCC Video Department, but yes, it can play back on Channel 2. It can play back on Channel 9. Either one, it would be the same. It's just a different DVD player out of the MCC. Yeah, I know, it is kind of head scratching, but that's how cable channels are set up.
Right now, we're targeting Facebook for what reason?
It's free.
Because that's how we did it. I mean, that's what we originally agreed on, but it can go anywhere.
Is that the place you personally would put it if you wanted to reach the most people?
Well, I would definitely use Facebook. I would use YouTube as well, but I would really promote it. If I was going to try to talk about statistics and how to increase the viewers, I would first try to promote it, and that would be a good first step. Get more people to be aware of what it's on, when it's on, what the content is. Get somebody in front of it and see it. And there's people that are interested in Muscatine and what's going on, as you could see by that presentation. I mean, you'll be captivated. You'll spend more than 10 seconds to watch what's going on because you might see yourself. You might see your neighbor. You might see an activity that's coming up that you are wanting to find out more information about. And really, Muscatine is in a media void. Like we heard earlier, the Muscatine Journal, is there even around anymore? I don't know. there's a radio station, but other than that, there is a void. There is no place that people in Muscatine can go and turn in and reliably see something that's happening in their own community. You know, and while it's nice to try to get people from outside the community to see what we're doing, I mean, there's people in our own community who don't know what's going on. And the Mayor's Show, our city has provided that outlet, and you can see it. It's provided an outlet, and the people who have come on the show have really enjoyed it and had the ability to share what's going on. Because, you know, you work every day. When you finally get some recognition and be able to talk about it, then that's when the true nature of your community really shines through.
Even I was gonna just mention, like Jody Royal Goodwin came on and talked about a rental class that she does that teaches people how to be a good tenant and works with the landlords on what their rights and responsibilities are, and works with the tenants on the same, teaches them how to be a good tenant. And then they actually can share with a prospective landlord, I went through this class. And I had people ask me about that after that had seen it on Facebook and were interested in it. So I know it's getting out there, but I know we're getting late in the night here. Go ahead.
I've got a question, just so that everybody's clear. What of the videos that have been produced at this point, what is the easiest way for somebody to go look at them right now without having to wait for them to pop up on Channel 9?
You just go to Our City Facebook page. You can actually type in Our City Muscatine in Facebook, and the page will come up.
Everyone's there in a row.
And then when you're on Facebook, you just go to the video. You just go to the video section or the posts. Scroll down the post, but
so Our City Muscatine on Facebook, and then you can scroll through the videos and pick the one that you want to watch.
Yeah.
And you can fast forward and rewind, and then that way you only can watch.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, the video file is there. If anybody wanted to chop it up, use it as promotional videos for their departments, like you just mentioned for Jody Royal Goodwin, the housing department, you know, that would be possible. Would be awesome.
And as we move forward, that's something that I would be interested in potentially looking at down the road, to have some more production done where, you know, maybe we move, you know, we continue this experiment and see how much more promotion we can do, get viewership up, and then look at potentially doing things where when you start the video, you can, you know, so when it's not live but as playback, you get, you know, 3 options. You can click, you know, the guest 1, you know, whatever video in the middle, or, you know, guest 2, you know, and just start right there. That type of thing. Or, as Greg had mentioned, have it in post-production, have it split into completely separate videos that are much shorter, and split those out for playback. I mean, those types of things I think are great ideas, and I would love to see it go that direction, but we can't expect that for free either. So
no,
you know what I mean?
there's certainly a cost. I think we say it about every day. Anytime we can push out positive information about Muscatine, our goal is to push out positive information daily.
I like the idea moving forward as we are right now, with pushing the promotion more, getting that YouTube channel set up to dedicate to it, so the videos can all be in one spot as well, so that it's similar to the Facebook page, and, you know, so those can mirror each other, and then look to the future as we go along. And, you know, if we can get the viewership up, then that might justify some additional, you know, some expense put into it on top of the staff time that gets put in at this point as guests. Which
you can look at that during budget time. I mean,
exactly,
to see by that time you should have some additional data to see if it's something that you want to invest in.
I mean, as long as we're not incurring any additional costs at this time,
and at some point we should, I don't know how to do it. Maybe it's a council policy, but we need to memorialize this, because in 2 years, we're all going to sit here and have a different recollection of what we talked about.
Well, Cinda takes absolute excellent notes.
Well,
videos out there on YouTube.
the video will be out. Yeah, I was going to say the video will be out there on YouTube, because I've gone back and reviewed a few of them. So,
my only charge 3 months ago was to keep track of the stats, present to you, and then wait. You know, listen to your feedback, and then we will proceed. I am perfectly willing to do whatever I need to help promote this, promote Muscatine. I love this city. I think there's a lot of great things happening, more to come. It's kind of interesting that we talked about branding and this at the same time.
Same night, right.
The new branding is going to be something that's going to combine the old and the new that was brought back, and we're still talking about all the positives that are going on and what you all are doing and what the city's doing. So, you know, we'll keep plugging away and we'll keep going.
So when do we come back to revisit this then?
I mean,
do we say that we
4
do this again in 3 months, or do we do this again before, you just mentioned before budget?
We can wait
December?
till December will be fine.
Thinking maybe an in-depth in December prior to budget? Maybe a good time to do it?
That'll work.
Okay.
That way we'll know, yeah.
That
By then we'll have the
We wanna
YouTube
put some
video.
more money in it. Yeah.
Plenty of time for the YouTube page to get some action on it and some accurate statistics on it. So.
Because if you're gonna invest dollars, I mean, we need to see that average viewership.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I think we should continue as is for right now, but add the YouTube channel. And so, you know, once you've got that set up and videos transferred to it, and, you know, if Greg can send out, you know, his weekly update that week, whenever that's done, and, you know, I'd like to check it out when it's ready.
Sure.
Sounds
Great.
good.
No problem.
Thank you both. Thank you,
I
Kevin.
like
Thank you,
the-
Chad.
Thank you,
I
Council.
like the idea of this because I guess it's a way of polishing some of the tarnish of Muscatine's image. Because it's all positive.
Absolutely.
Yes. The guests are just, we have a good time. And they, I think like Chad said, especially the people that are involved in a project, they want to tell about their project. So it's a lot of
Again,
fun.
So we do, and these projects, we go and we take some photos of it and some video, so we are all in. I mean, Media Tree is doing everything we can to promote this city too. Just like all of you here, you're not getting paid $10,000 every night you're here. Something in each one of you that ran had that same passion to help this town out.
And
so
thank
that's
you.
why
I would like to
Yeah.
thank Media Tree because
Absolutely.
the amount of commitment and resources that they have put in this, you can imagine, maybe not, because I couldn't, how much work goes into every single show that they produce, just setting up all their gear and all things. So thank you.
Well, for that and other projects that they do around the community as well.
That's
like,
true.
you know,
They did
Soapbox Derby.
things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because one of the things we decided is to have a separate YouTube channel.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then link it
With
to.
a link it to.
Yes.
Yeah.
It could be linked to our Facebook page also, couldn't it?
Right. There
Yes.
can be it can be shared.
I mean,
there.
all sorts of links.
I think Kevin said he would
It could be
do
streamed
that.
live
Yeah.
to a dozen places simultaneously. We just use this Facebook page because we created it for free,
Right.
you know, we created it, but it can stream on our city, it can stream on this city's Facebook page, on a separate YouTube page, it could go on Twitter, soon to be Instagram. I mean, that's what these hip kids are all talking about, Instagram.
And that's one of the things that's been nice about having it in several different medias. You have a lot of the younger generation that watches Facebook and checks things out there. And then you have the folks at home, my dad, who's not on Facebook, I guarantee you, but watches on Channel 9, you know, at home. So you can get the different markets that way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, Councilman Harvey, did you have anything tonight?
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Councilman Malcolm?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Councilman Spread?
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Councilman Fitzgerald?
Nothing tonight.
Councilman Saucedo?
Nothing tonight, Your
Wow,
Honor.
guys. Councilman Brackett?
I'm out of words for the night, so I'm good. Thank
Oh, wow. Can't believe that. Staff?
Grandview Public Meeting, 5:30, library, next Thursday night.
Yep.
Will it be in that big meeting room?
I believe so.
I would imagine it'll be upstairs in the big meeting room.
I've been promoting that.
Yep.
Third floor?
There's some cards on the table, and Councilwoman Brockert has a whole bunch of cards.
Yes, I do.
And I would just like to remind everybody that this coming Saturday is Second Saturday, and there'll be a ton of things going on downtown. The theme this month, is summer games. So there'll be a bunch of stuff. They have T-shirts, vendors, all kinds of things going on. So grab your family and head on down to Second Saturday. Also, there's a lot of striping going on in the streets right now, so please be aware as you're driving around town, be cautious and careful and slow down just a titch. And our city next week, our guests are Bonnie Nichols with MCSA and Dale McCray, the Muscatine County Assessor, is going to explain all about taxes to us. Everyone have a good evening. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We're adjourned.
Viewership will go up if the police chief stops going on there. Nobody wants to see the police.
Everybody likes Brett.
I think everybody adjourned.
I think they did.
Yeah, I think so.